Welcome to the Lathisms podcast. I'm your host, Evelyn Lamb. In each episode, we ask a Hispanic or Latinx mathematician to talk about their journey in mathematics. Today, we're happy to welcome Moira to the show. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I was born in Argentina. I did college there. College in Argentina it's whatever you decide is your major, that's the only thing you do, which for me was a fantastic experience. I came from a high school which was not really good. I like math, but really studied in a rigorous way, day and night. It was absolutely fantastic. I mean, it was, for me, love at first class. But the love started a little late compared to other people. I started about 18. Then I finished college, it was a little longer, almost like a master. And a couple of years later, I went to Spain and did my PhD there. And then I came here to the States. I came for 3 months to a kind of a short research project, and I am still here since '98.
Okay. And in addition to doing research where you work at Stony Brook University, you also do a lot of outreach, including mathematical sewing and crochet, right?
Not sewing, crochet. I wish I could do sewing, but I did something really bad to my finger with a sewing machine, so I limit myself to crochet. Crochet is relatively new for me. I started about 3 years ago, and I started first with whatever most everybody else starts, the hyperbolic crochet, and then I continue doing surfaces, and then I study maps on surfaces and things related to the four-color theorem, but in other settings about the sphere or the plane. And then it exploded. I do cipher surfaces knot. I just finished something that I'm very proud of, a Möbius band, and it's double cover, which is a cylinder going twice around the Möbius band. And I used all those things to teach and to do outreach, from makers fairs to, sometimes I go to an elementary school, and people get really engaged they say, oh, that's math. And it is math, and I try to do it in a mathematical way. Of course, I don't give all the rigorous details, but I give some arguments to open the door to people to not the thing that the part of math I usually don't think of as math.
Right. So you've mentioned that you went to a high school that maybe wasn't as strong in math. Did you have experiences early in life that made you think that you might want to become a mathematician eventually?
I didn't know what was a mathematician, so the answer is no. I like math and I liked writing, growing up. And, my family was more on the writing side, but they both got books. I got all the books I wanted in my house, and they got a couple of books. I had Martin Gardner and one that I really like called The Man Who Counted. Probably, I don't know, is that the name in English? But I didn't do math outside school, and I did a very basic math at school. In high school, we don't even arrive to calculus. It was a lot of trigonometry and, Cartesian coordinates. So I liked it, and, when I was finished in high school and I had to decide my major, I want to write or do something with math. And all the other things that had math, the non-math part bothered me. And again, I never thought about doing math until a classmate of mine said, oh, I'm going to be a math major. And I said, okay, that's really something with math. And that's how I started. But I didn't know what I was getting into until I started studying my first day of class, which was, my first math class. I don't know if it was the first, but one of the first classes, was one of the best moments of my life when I realized that you can understand things. The understanding gave me a sense of physical pleasure. This is so good. I spent most of my high school in some kind of foggy dark where you have to memorize things, and I can't memorize, and I can't produce nice, neat documents, so it was painful for me. But I didn't think it was important. I just need to pass the courses. Your grades in Argentina don't count to enter at the university, so I just had to pass. but I had to sit all these hours not understanding. And when you could see a mathematical argument that you can go to the end, oh gosh, I still feel good remembering how good I felt at that moment. I still have this, great feeling of, that's so good.
Oh, wow. That's really beautiful. And so were you encouraged by professors or your family when you did decide that you wanted to do math?
My mother was very encouraging because she realized how good it was for me. It was kind of interesting, so I prepared, we had this entrance exam to the university and I prepared with a professor. And when I did really well, he said, teaching is a good career for a woman. I was supposed to go to teaching. Even if I did the best of all the students there, which were all male. In my university at the Universidad de Buenos Aires, it was a really stimulating place to work, really, I had good classmates, very, 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 very good education. I'm really thankful for all what they gave me. Many people passionate about math. So I think it was encouraging to be a student there.
You've mentioned a little bit about being encouraged differently from male mathematicians when you were in college. What other experiences have you had related to being a woman in math, and how do those intersect with being a Latina woman in math?
Well, when I was young in my college and then in my PhD, I was in a Latino country. So I didn't notice I was a Latino because that was the standard thing, the normal thing. But I remember once I was in Spain and I went to a talk to another university, and not mine. And the professor came to me and said, "Hey, honey, this is a math talk." So that was quite a shock, I shouldn't be there, he said. I lived, my personality, I guess, is I'm a little foreign. Everywhere I go, I'm a little in my own bubble. So I hear little comments and, here and there. I don't think they affected me a lot, but I think as a woman, I have many of the things that many mathematicians share, but the imposter syndrome, I have a PhD in the imposter syndrome, psychologists corrected me now and they said we should say imposter feeling is not a syndrome, but the idea that what am I doing there? They allow me to be here by mistake, that's one of the things I feel as a woman. And sometimes those type of feelings make you go slower.
Do you think that you've been encouraged a lot as a woman in math?
I don't know how to answer that question. I think as a woman, I was not encouraged to do math. I think society doesn't encourage women to do math. And I gave talks about this around the world as much as I can. And I realized, right now, yes, we can enter the university and we can get PhD. It's not like, Sonia Kowalskaya, who couldn't even put the food, she couldn't even audit classes. She had Weierstrass as a private tutor, in fact. Well, right now we don't have these, clear, visible obstacles. But what we have now is an enormous amount of tiny obstacles, little things that they seem like nothing, but they accumulate to produce a big obstacle which is harder to see. In fact, I'm working with a psychologist now. I just started with a Professor Virginia Valian in mathematical models of how this, the accumulation of small obstacles makes like a big hurdle to women and other minorities in math.
Yeah, I think I saw in one of the articles you wrote, Imagine, you talked about, kind of made a mathematical metaphor for this, that exponential growth, it only takes a little bit to build up.
Right. It's little by little, sum of infinitesimals, when it's infinity, can be big.
Yeah. So since we're pivoting a little bit to mathematics, can you tell us a little bit about your research?
Oh, happily. So I have, I would say, two main branches on research. One is working on curves on surfaces. I'm interested in curves on surfaces, curves up to deformation, continuous deformations, or up to free homotopy. So you look at the set of classes, you get and then you attach numbers to each of these classes. One number could be the self-intersection number, which is the smallest number of times a member of the class crosses itself. Another number could be, well, suppose you have the fundamental group of the surface as a set of generators, and you represent your free homotopy class with a word. Well, what is the smallest number of letters you can have for a word represented that curve you're studying? That's another number. Both are integers. Then you can have a metric, like hyperbolic metrics, constant negative curvature. So if you have a metric on the surface, you have the length of the shortest curve on the class, which is the length of the geodesic in the class. That's another number. So part of my research is studying relations between those numbers, statistics, and there's other numbers that we could. I'm also interested in. That's one part. And the other part is related to a structure that was discovered by Goldman, and now it's called the Goldman bracket. And it's related, to the operation that suppose you have two curves on a surface, and they intersect in many points, and you choose one of the points, and at that point, you are going to cut the two curves and reconnect it. Now these curves, I didn't say it, are directed. They have an arrow. So if they are directed, you can reconnect it in only one way to make a single curve that continues the direction. You can imagine that you have two circles, you open them up, they're circles oriented, and then you glue them back, you get a new bigger circle. So using that idea, he defined a Lie algebra on the linear combinations of these classes of curves. For me, it's a little math miracle that it's a Lie algebra. When you have a nice identity in something you define, you have something good there. And then I study again relations, what happens with this, how this is related to the intersection structure. And then with Jenny Sullivan, who's my husband, we generalize this idea to manifolds of all dimensions.
Okay. And is there a research accomplishment or academic accomplishment you've been most proud of?
I think, string topology is a really good thing. But it's like an old lover, I prefer the newer ones. So right now I'm quite excited about all this world of, I study a lot, I didn't mention that, I do a lot of experiments with the computer. And this is really a new little field, so I'm proud of, opening up, there's people studying these things, that I'm proud. I'm also very proud of my children, I'm my mathematical children. I'm very interested in mentoring undergrads, and I had, Stony Brook is a great place to do that because some of our students are fantastic, and they need support, and I can provide that, mathematical and a little bit, human. And I see them, blossom now in the math world, and I'm really happy about that.
How do you overcome challenges related to academics and your research?
Well, how do? When I overcome them, sometimes I'm just defeated. But I have one thing that, helped me a lot is my goal is to be, I feel like I'm a math servant. I'm there to serve math. And the only thing I can do is serve math the best way I can. And that takes the pressure out of me. It's not like I have to achieve this or that. I just have to be the best math servant that I can. So what I do is, if I have to give a talk, I'm less nervous now, but I used to be nervous before giving a talk. I tell myself, it's not about me. It's about the math, I'm not the topic of my talk. And that really helps. And what also helps is try to recover this feeling of understanding, and usually it's working hard. I tell all the students, and I don't believe there's math people and not math people. Everybody can understand math at different speeds and at different levels. So, work and understanding something always makes me feel better in a challenge.
So in addition to math, you also do some writing, both mathematical writing and some fiction writing. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's all started, it's interestingly enough, this is related to being a Latino. When I moved from Spain to the United States, I stopped writing. I always wrote all my life, and I couldn't write. I tend to think in the language I live, and my English, still is work in progress, and I couldn't write. And then there was this contest at the Simon Center of Geometry and Physics of a science play, and I heard about this fantastic woman called Alicia Bull. She's the daughter of George Bull, and I decided to write a short play about her and incorporate. She was studying the equivalent to the Platonic solids, but in 4 dimensions. And she really developed this out of academia. And she and her sisters, they're all fantastic, very accomplished ladies. Everybody was very original. And their father died when they were very young, so she developed by herself, and I wrote about her. And that play, I'm very proud of that too. It makes me happy.
Yeah, multi-talented, multifaceted life in mathematics.
Yeah, I think it's all one thing, Like math is only one, and my math and my writing really merge.
Thank you so much for being on the show today. I really enjoyed talking with you. Bye.
It was wonderful to talk to you too. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Lathisms podcast. It's produced by me, Evelyn Lamb, and made possible by a Tensor Summa grant from the Mathematical Association of America. Our music is Volvere by La Floresta. Lathisms is an initiative to celebrate the accomplishments of Hispanic and Latinx mathematicians. It was founded in 2016 by Alexander Diaz-Lopez, Pamela Harris, Alicia Prieto Langarica, and Gabriel Sosa. You can find more information about the project at lathisms.org. That's LATHISMS.org. Join us next time to hear from another inspiring mathematician.